Shalom, shalom. You thought you had clarity. You were walking in your purpose. But now, everything's shifting. You feel like God changed the assignment mid-season on you, mid-mission on you. So what do you do? What do you do when God reroutes your path? That's what we're going to talk about today. In today's lesson, we're going to dive into the unexpected pivots of purpose. What to do when God redirects you, and how to process it without feeling like a failure, and why redirection doesn't mean disqualification. Man, I hope you're ready for it this evening because I am, and I am excited. Listen, welcome to another Sabbath School broadcast. I'm Apostle B, and we're continuing our series on purpose, provision, and politics, a biblical path to financial freedom. And today's question is, what do you do when God redirects your purpose? How do you pivot without losing faith? That's a question that I've had for a long time, and there are some answers that has come along the way. So let's go ahead and get into it today. Um, One of the most confusing moments in the journey of purpose is when the thing you were sure about starts to feel off, or God calls you to leave it and go in another direction. And oftentimes, what happens is there are some feelings and emotions and things that arise. But does that necessarily mean you missed God? Does it mean that you wasted time? Or worse yet, does it mean that you failed? I want to say here unequivocally, absolutely not. God is a God of movement, and sometimes divine redirection is your greatest setup. We don't often see that. We don't often recognize that. We don't often acknowledge that because we haven't really been taught that that is a part of the process. That is a part of the journey. One of the things that I want to begin talking about as my first point today is this, and you probably heard me say this before if you've been around any length of time. Good evening, good to see you all. Purpose is progressive, it's not static. I'm going to let that sink in for a minute. Purpose is progressive, it is not static. And if we trust in God with all of our heart, and we don't lean to this as we talked about in the previous lesson, if we don't lean to this here computer up here and lean to this here mindset up here, our own understanding, but we take the time to just acknowledge Him, we take the time to just ask of Him, we take the time to inquire of Him, He will ensure that we get on the straight path. We don't always like it. We don't always listen because it doesn't always look like what we have imagined. Got anybody out there that can identify with that? Say, give me a hands up or a thumbs up. God's purposes for you and me in our life isn't always revealed all at once. It never really is. It unfolds in stages. Why? Because we are in stages of development. We are in stages of growth. We are in stages of understanding. We are in stages of faith in our life and in our season. What was once right in a season prior may not be right in the season that you're in or in the season that is next. Here is why we have to continue learning. We have to continue growing. We have to continue studying. Trusting God, even in the times of pivot, is just as holy as obeying Him in the original call. But if we don't know what that is, we don't know what that is supposed to look like. We haven't necessarily been taught to have a listening ear and an understanding heart and to walk in wisdom. It could look confusing. It could look like you're way off in left field somewhere and God may be off in right field, so you think. And you just, nothing's really adding up and lining up. My point is, sometimes God gives you just enough light for the next step, not the whole staircase. We talked about that before. We oftentimes want God to give us all the information up front before we make any decision, before we go in any direction, before we move in any path. But that's not how it works in the kingdom. That's how it works in this realm of spirituality. God very rarely gives us a complete picture of everything, because if He did, and you can identify with this, I know I can. If He did, it would also include the times of what we might say darkness, when we don't really hear Him or sense Him or feel Him. He would also have to reveal that if He showed us the whole plan. If he showed us the whole plan, he would also have to show us the times of disappointment, the people who would also disappoint us, the situations and circumstances that may not always work out for our best at that moment and at that time. So if we've ever asked God to show us the whole picture, he couldn't, because we couldn't really handle it. I know I couldn't. If he would have revealed me some of the stuff that I would have had to walk through ahead of time, I would have said, no, thank you, God. I'm not signing up for that. Can I get a witness? Not agreeing to that. Not down for that, because he showed it to me. This is why he does it. My second point is redirection isn't rejection, it's refinement. We'll say that again. Redirection isn't rejection, it's refinement. And we know, and we talked about this scripture already in our teachings, Romans 8:28, all things working out together for our good. And people say that when everything is good. People have a tendency to refer to that when everything is good. But what about when everything is not so good? Do you still believe and know that everything is still working out for your good because you love God? Because you know you're called according to the purpose that he's established and set in your life. Can you still say that? Can you still say that when money is low? Can you still say that when relationships are challenged? Can you still say that when people walk away from you, that it's still working out for my good? I have learned to do that over the many, many years, because I realize and recognize that when God changes my direction, it's not because I have failed. It's because he's refining my focus. I may have gotten off some point. I may have gotten together with somebody I wasn't supposed to. I may have gotten engaged and involved with something I shouldn't have had. Come on, somebody. And so he's refining my focus. He's redefining the path that I should have been on, that I've somehow veered off. Why? Because of my eyes isn't looking at him all the time. And you heard me use this analogy over the years. You can't go forward if you're looking back. And if you've ever done this exercise, try it. Be careful that you're not in a room with a bunch of stuff that you can trip over and fall off. But try walking straight, so you think, you know, but look behind you and make sure it's a clear path, okay? I don't want you to fall and hurt yourself. And if you keep looking back while you're trying to walk forward, 99.9% of the time, you're going to see you veer off. And what God is doing oftentimes is course correcting us. Sometimes God has to shift our assignment at that time to protect us in alignment, because we have veered off and we didn't realize and recognize we veered off. Why? Because we're too busy looking back at the mistakes we made. We're too busy looking at, the people that let us down or disappointed us, or we had to disconnect from or move away from in that season. We're too busy looking at what we didn't get done or what we didn't do. And we veered off. And so God has to shift what we are doing at the time and in the season to protect us, because he is constantly wanting us to walk in alignment. He's building something bigger than you can currently see, than I can currently see. And this is the big microcosm of what God is doing in our life. It's often greater and bigger than anything we can think. And scripture says that God is doing things in our life that is far beyond what we can think, dream, or even imagine. And I know some of us have big dreams, but just think about our God is bigger than that dream that you have, and he's doing even bigger than what you could even imagine, because we're still limited. My point is, what feels like a detour is often just a divine shortcut dressed in discomfort. I'm going to say that again. What feels like a detour is often just a divine shortcut dressed in discomfort. And that's where we get a little uneased, in that place of discomfort, in that place of uncertainty, in that place of so called darkness, in that place of quietness. It's in that place that where we need to be and what we need to do is often dressed in that discomfort. This is where we get more clarity than we thought we ever could. It's been in my seasons of great disappointment that I got more clarity about my next step than I ever had. It's in my seasons when people walked away and left me, when it was just me and God, and I had to reflect and reevaluate, that I got the most mental clarity I ever could. Doesn't mean my heart was always clear. Doesn't mean my heart was always healed. I had to walk that through. but yet I got mental clarity on what the next step was, what I need to do, how I need to come back. Can I get any witnesses out there? My third point is even biblical heroes got redirected. And scripture is full of people who got passed over and passed through and redirected. We talked about Paul's journey last time, how he knowing and had been revealed to him that if he take this next move he was to take to go up to Jerusalem, he was going to be captured, tortured, whipped, and in prison. But yet he still had to go. He still had to go. And Acts it talks about that. We've been talking about things that have happened in the books of Acts. People had to pass through regions and places that had been forbidden previously because of the dangers that awaited them, but yet God's Spirit still directed them to go into these places and still do these things. Christ was one of those when he even knew what was on the other side, when he had to cross over. He knew what was awaiting for him over there. He knew the people that was going to come to apprehend him and imprison him, but yet what? He still had to go. Even while doing God's work, we may feel that we're stopped. We may feel that we're pressed in. We may feel that we're hedged in. We may feel that things have gotten to a place of uncertainty, and it may have. But God, because he has an assignment already mapped out for us, he had a different path for us to take in that season, in that moment. And I think sometimes course corrections throw us off so much because we're just unfamiliar with it, because we just see the direct path most of the time. And most of the time, it is a direct path on God's timeline. But for us, because we get all kind of stuff in the mix, it winds up being a windy road. It winds up sometimes being a circular path. We see this with the children of Israel. What was a 3-day straight journey through the wilderness. They could have been there. Took them 40 years of wandering. Why? Oh, because they came up with all kind of excuses. Oh, giants is this, and we can't do that, and we can't do the next thing. Come on, and we're no different. We come up with all types of reasons that we give back to God as to why we can't do it. God, I don't know enough. God, I don't have enough education. God, I don't have enough experience. God, I don't know the right people. God, I don't have money. We come up with all those, and so the path that should have been straight through to our destiny, we wind up going around and around, up and down, over and across, round and about. Come on, can I get a witness? Obedience sometimes means stopping something good to pursue what's God. I learned that a long time ago. Obedience isn't about always doing something good. It is about pursuing what God has said. And that may not be good. It may not be the thing that feels good to you. It may not be the thing that you're good at. It may not be the thing that you want right now, but it's God. Don't confuse activity with assignment. Many people are busy doing a whole lot of stuff, but yet have very little fruit and results to show for it. Don't confuse activity with assignment. Being busy is not a key indicator of productivity. It is not. When you're in divine alignment and working on divine assignment, there should be evidence and fruit that is produced as a result of that. My point is, just because God said go yesterday doesn't mean he won't say turn today. Because in going, there still may be a turning. In going, there still may be a correction. In going, there still may be an adjustment. Why? Not that God needed to make it. He's perfect. We're the imperfect vessels that he's working with that always muck things up, that need his help and need his bailout. You know, I've been giving it to you straight for weeks. I ain't going to stop now. So what do I do in between the gap? What to do in between the gap between assignments while you're working on the next or waiting for the next or getting the next instruction? What do? Here is where people miss it. In the inactivity zone, in the quiet zone, in the peaceful place to where it doesn't seem like there's a lot of spiritual activity. You may not hear God talking all the time or witness him doing things all the time. Psalms 37 tells us that the steps of a righteous man are established by God. and God delights in his way. And as long as we remain in that righteousness and walking in that righteousness and continue walking in that righteousness, God will reveal the way. The way will be shown. The way will be revealed. But in your in between, the old assignment and the new adjustment or the new correction or the new or the realignment, don't panic. Don't panic. Don't freak out. Don't start doing your own thing as many of us have. Don't start just trying to make up your own stuff, create your own way, go out there and try to fix it. Don't do that. Stop. Pause. Talked about this. The pause is part of the purpose. The pause is part of the realignment. The pause is part of getting the clarity because you don't know at that point. You're at the fork, you're at the junction. Which way do I go? What do I do? Well, I can take my own into my own hands and start trying to do it, or I could just wait, palm, pause, and say loud. Just think calmly about this thing. Let's just meditate on this. And let's just put a pin in for right now. Let's just pause. We're not going to go any further. We're not going to do anything else. We're not going to try to do anything on our own. We're just going to take a pause. And me and Mona Lisa, we've experienced this quite often and had to do this when we don't know what's next and what move to make. Let's just take a pause. Let's just take a chill. It's okay. And let God reframe what it is that we may have lost focus and lost sight on. Let God reframe that for you. Let him reframe the identity that you may have lost, getting all mixed up with everybody and everything and everybody's stuff. Because it's not tied to and what you're doing and what your way you're going isn't always necessarily tied to that past season that you may have failed, you may have missed it, you may have gotten off. God is able to make the correction and the adjustment there and just bypass that so that you can get back on the right track. Oftentimes we think we got to bring all that stuff along with us. And we pack a lot of that stuff along in the journey because it helps us understand how we got where we are. But we're not to carry that load and carry that burden. Everything that was in the past isn't designed to come along with us in the future. That's why everybody can't go with us where we're going all the time. My point is, purpose isn't a title. It isn't something that we just come up with. And I know it's popular on social media and the bathroom brawl called the internet, to where all the crap is thrown out there today with everybody who's got an answer and a prescription on what they say you should be doing and think they should be doing it. Listen, 99.9% of them people out there haven't done it. They're just regurgitating somebody else's information. They just chat GTP and some stuff and coming up with some stuff to sound good and repeating what everybody else. Many of them haven't walked it, aren't living it, and don't have it. And you can't listen to all of that kind of stuff. You really can't. Because purpose isn't a title. It isn't something that you just come up to. It is something that you are born with and that is born in you. And it is walked out in obedience throughout your life. If your role shifts, your identity doesn't change. It doesn't matter how many adjustments you have to make. It doesn't matter how many careers you have to go through to find it. It doesn't matter, what you have to endure to get there. Who you are and why you're here and what you're here to do never changes. We are spending our time and our effort and our energy chasing stuff that's outside of our capability and our understanding, trying to become, instead of embracing what's already in us, what's already embedded in us, what's already been birthed in us, what's already been channeled in us by the Spirit. We're running against that because it's contrary to what we want and desire in the flesh. But when we align ourselves to what we are and what we're really capable of and what God has put in us hand, we become unstoppable beings. We become the most powerful beings on the planet. There's nothing impossible, as the scripture said. If your role shifts, your identity never has to. You don't have to change who you are to become something different. You don't have to reinvent yourself, so to speak. And my final point is, let me give you a framework on how to handle a divine pivot. And much of this that I'm sharing and teaching in many of these, recent teachings is in my new book that'll be coming out. here soon. I haven't really even put a date on anything. I've just been writing and journaling and getting it all out of me and putting it down. So most of this is just nuggets that have just come up over the years of wisdom and missed and failed opportunities and learning and understanding and all of that. So reflection, and this is the first thing that I want to give you, reflection, because I spent a lot of time reflecting, not regretting, reflecting. And I'm releasing something here in a few weeks. You may have seen it if you've been following me at the time. I released just a tidbit of what I'm going to be working on, and that is my older self is going back in time and interviewing my younger self. Or I should say, my younger self is interviewing my older self, and I'm having this conversation with my younger self in a place of wisdom, and then in a place of reflection, asking the questions that I wish I had knew the answers to then. Not necessarily saying I would have done anything differently, but hopefully for people who are in that place right now, they can learn something from that in order to not repeat and make the same mistakes we've done. And so reflection is the first thing I want to give you as a framework. What have I learned? Ask yourself, what have I learned from the current or previous assignment and situation that I'm in? Because everything, no matter how it has come to the point that it is, back to Romans 8:28, it's still going to work out. But what have I learned from it? And if I've learned what I have been intended to learn and what I need to learn, then I get to graduate. Many of you heard me teach on the graduation process. We get to graduate and go on to the next level when we have learned the lessons and we brought them forward and we've operated in the wisdom that has come from them. We get to graduate, we get to go on, we get to move on to the next level. And then after reflection, I want you to practice releasing. Releasing, because oftentimes in places of reflection, we often do introspection. We go in deeply and we do the work and we find out, things about us and what we've done and what has happened, and oftentimes feelings of regret or guilt or confusion or grief arise. I want you to immediately release that. Let go of the guilt, the confusion, the grief that comes from shifting season. There should be no what's the word that I'm looking for, regret there. No, like, oh, I wish I should have, could have. Remove that from your vocabulary and from your thinking. No, I wish I would have, should have, and could have. None of that, because it's all been still working out for your good. It's all still been giving you what you needed to become who you are in order to do what you have been assigned to do. I wouldn't be who I am doing what I'm doing if I didn't go through some of the things that I had to go through. If I didn't experience the things that I go through, I wouldn't be able to share with you at a place of wisdom had I not experienced some things, because I'm not just talking about something that I read. I'm not just talking about something that I heard. I'm talking from a place of where I live and what I have lived. And when I share and I talk with people today, I share with them from a place of my experiences. May not necessarily be theirs, but we can always learn something from that process. So I want you to practice release after you practice reflection. And then I want you to be willing to recalibrate. Seek God afresh and anew for the new time and the new assignment and the new thing that you should be doing now. And especially if you're at a place that you know that you haven't accomplished what it is that you should have accomplished. And I'm not talking about time wise now, because a lot of people get on that kick into my, oh, I'm 40 and ain't got married, had no kids. I'm not talking about that foolishness. Okay. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about your purpose. I'm talking about your assignment, what you've been gifted and called by God to do with these and with this. Okay. Recalibrate. Seek God afresh and anew for, okay, what do I need to be setting my hands to right now here today? Who do I need to be working with right now here today? What assignment has you given us right now here today? And I do this quite often, and the reason why I do it quite often, because I encounter so many people and everybody wants me to get involved with this or do that or do the next thing and pull me in all these directions. And I'm quick to say, hold on a minute, pause, let's put a pin in it. I don't even know you. You don't know me like that. Let's develop relationship first. Let's build something first in that realm before we just run off and start trying to do something. Because when my personality kicks in, when I kick in and I'm being who I am always, you may not like that. You may not always still want to work with me and walk with me and all that. You're excited now because you may have heard something that I've done. You may have watched something that I produced. You may have heard from somebody else, but you don't really know me. So let's not jump on the horse too quick and start galloping. We got to walk together in agreement for a while and for a season before we can run. Does that make sense to anybody? We calibrate because oftentimes we get excited about the new thing. We get excited about the new person. We get excited about the new idea and we want to run off with it and start doing it. And it isn't always beneficial, doesn't always work out as we intended. Ecclesiastes 3 say, there's no point in time for everything. There's a time and season for every matter. And although we thinking about doing it right now, it may not be the time and the season for that right now, friend. We may just need to hold on that for a minute. Because I believe one thing, and I've come to learn one thing after all of these years, is that it doesn't matter how long it took. We don't miss it when we stay in alignment with God. When we stay connected to our connection, we're not gonna miss it. I don't care if it took you 50 years to get here. You ain't gonna miss it. You still gonna get a chance to do what it is you need to do before you get up out of here. And I believe God is just that gracious. He's gonna give each and every one of us grace, which is time and space, to do what it is we need to do. And it's up to us at that point in time if we're gonna do it. Or we're gonna just let it pass and then we're gonna go on up out of here and the graveyard get it. My closing thought is this: God isn't finished with you, friend. He isn't finished with me. I thought by now I'll be a wrap. I'll be a done, especially after I retired and moved to another country and just reestablished a new life. And just at the most chillest point of my life, I thought, hey, I'm done. And I'm finding out every day the work doesn't stop because I'm still here. God is still giving me time and space and opportunity to do all the things that are still in my heart. And I want to tell you the same. God isn't finished with you. He's simply rerouting you. He's simply redirecting you. Redirection doesn't mean that you got off or you got it wrong. It means that you're growing. It means that you're growing, and that growth requires change. We can't grow without change. You grow, but you want to stay a child. Impossible. You're gonna age physically, you're gonna mature physically, you're gonna grow eternally. You can't remain the same. It doesn't. It means growing. And if you've been feeling confused right now about a shift that may be happening or that you sense coming up, I want you to let today be confirmation that your next season requires a new strategy. Not necessarily a new you, a new way of thinking. You need a new way of thinking and you need a new strategy. Because we're living in a world and we're living in a time and we're living in a season to where all the gurus out there, they figured it out, so to speak. They think they got all the answers, but their answer may not be your answer. Their path may not be your path. I'm always telling people, learn from what I do, but you don't do the same things that I did. You can't. You're not me. I'm designed for you to walk that. But you can learn from it. I've learned from the elders that are in my life. I've learned from the people that I've been mentored with and counseled with. Why? Because they have wisdom to share with me. And it's through that wisdom I begin to understand our journeys are similar, but they're never the same. None of us are called to walk the same path, to do it the same way. And this is why we have to be careful when we create repeatable processes. We have to leave room for the individual to also be recognized in how they best utilize that strategy, that information, that pathway, that framework that we presented them with, because we all process information differently. And although we create frameworks and guidelines and templates and pathways and all of that vernacular that we use in the world of coaching and mentoring and helping people aspire to the next level, must be careful that we don't restrict the creativity that lies within each individual, the uniqueness that God has placed in them, because you may be able to take something that I share with you and twist it all about, but it works for you. My ABC or 1, 2, 3 may not be your ABC and 1, 2, 3. You may be BCA. You may be 2, 3, 1. So my adjustments that I've made over the years is understanding how people best operate so that the framework works for them. Here are the steps. We don't do a 1, 2, 3 ABC with me. We put the framework together and then we say, let's find out where you are now, where you need to start, because you may get there a whole lot quicker than it took me or anyone else. So adjustments are necessary and will happen. And if we trust God enough, even when the path changes, He will give us enough discernment to know that it's Him. We talked about this in the previous lesson. I gave you 3 keys by which you can always evaluate what you're doing is God. Number 1 is Word. Number 2, the peace that He gives you. And then number 3, having someone in wisdom in your life. Not no New Jack City, not no neophyte, not somebody who's just come up lately, but someone who's actually walked the path, who's actually done it, that you verified this with. And you do them 3 things and you continue to do them 3s, you won't be very off very long. And if you do get off, they will always bring you back. Those 3 things will always bring you back. And those of you who've been around me any time know that to be true, because you've gotten off. You veered off, but you know how to get back on. So you don't stay out there very long. And I pray today that God give you discernment to know when He's redirecting you, and then you cooperate Him in that redirection, and that you allow that peace that He's given you to let go of what was and embrace what is. And I pray God help you pivot with faith, knowing that you are in divine alignment with Him, and He's ordering your steps every day. He's directing your path every day. And if that's our prayer when our feet hit the floor, He will definitely do that. And so I pray today, Father, for those that are here, those that will come later, that you would speak to them now where they are so that they can understand that it's you, that you would bring them clarity, give them insight and understanding, even though the whole picture may not be laid out for them, and it shouldn't be. May they embrace what they do know now and what has been revealed to them now, and be willing to work with you and cooperate with you to walk that out, even when that means some redirection, even when that means some refocusing, even when that means some repurposing. Because every tool, if it's being used regularly and consistently and over a period of time, needs resharpening. So I pray as instruments in your hand that we allow you to rehone us, to reshape us, to resharpen us, to refine us as you do as the refiner. And we're sitting even in the fire today. We allow you to refine us. This I pray in your name. Amen and amen. I hope you got something out of this today. Thank y'all for here listening. I know the comments, y'all been blowing up. I'm going to go back later through the comments and respond to them for you. But I want you to comment below. I give you a question every week, and I would love if you would take the time to answer it. Have you ever experienced a divine redirection? And what did God teach you through it? I'm going to share mine as I do each week in the comments. I'm going to share mine. But have you ever experienced a divine redirection? And what did God teach you through it? I have so many. I have to pick which one I am going to come up with, because you know me, and I'm quick to just run. And sometimes in my running, I haven't always ran with the best of wisdom. I've always ran with the best of intentions. So God has always honored my heart and not my head, and I'm thankful for it. Because even when I didn't understand, I ran. Even when I didn't have all the information, I ran. Even when I didn't have all the money, I ran. I ran and I ran. And sometimes I didn't always wait for wisdom. I ran. But God always knew my heart was pure, my motive, so He always honored it. And I've never really got into too much trouble out there. But not everybody can say the same. I can laugh now, but back then, some of this stuff, I couldn't find a laugh. I was a lot of crying. It was a lot of crying. But now I can look back and I can reflect, and this is why I'm comfortable and going back in time, so to speak, and having this conversation. And I hope to have things produced this week. Team and I have been, man, we've been feet to the fire working on it, but it's coming along beautifully, and I'm really excited about what's happening. So I'm looking forward to release it, but look forward to that conversation that we're going to have. And I hope that you stick around and that you come back. I know this is a little late in the evening, but it works, and it works for a lot of reasons, because I'm not trying to compete on timelines with everybody else. I'm just always, like I do, just doing my thing and doing my thing according to how God gives it to me. But like and subscribe to the channel, because there's more in this series that's coming as we continue talking about purpose, provision, and how to move in faith, and especially during this time and season that we're in, how to navigate the landscape of all the plethora of stuff that's happening on the international stage. Don't want you to worry about that stuff. Don't let it concern you. Don't let it get you out of your mojo and out of your mean and method. Continue to operate according to faith. Continue to operate according to the assignment God has given you, and trust that He's going to work it all out, and you're gonna fit into it, and it's going to work out for you. Send me an email, text message, whatever, all the ways to communicate with me on my social media platform, whatever, however you need to get a hold of me. And share this video out with somebody that you know may need to hear this today, because they might be in a place to where the clarity that they have been waiting for has been in this teaching today. And then next week, just to give you a little teaser, man, we're going to talk about how to turn your obedience into overflow. This is what I'm experiencing in this season that I'm living in. My obedience is turning into overflow in so many arenas, whether it be practical, whether it be financial, whether it be my health, that is being reinvigorated and restored. I mean, it's just a wonderful thing right now. But we're going to talk about how to turn that obedience into overflow, practical biblical strategies for turning your purpose into income and into profit without compromising your values. I see people today, in order to have, in order to gain, in order to get, they're compromising their values, they're compromising their faith, they're compromising their belief in God, and going in all sorts of directions. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that to gain in God. You really don't. You really don't. And I want you to stay true to what He's giving you. Stay true to what He's shown you, and to stay true to what He's put in your hand. You are walking in purpose, and continue to walk in that. All right? Listen, I hope you guys have had a wonderful evening here with me. I know I have. I want to thank my daughters, my family, my sisters, all my brothers, all y'all who've been out here today. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. Thank God for you. Look forward to seeing y'all again and talking to y'all again real soon. But until then, pray the Lord bless you and keep you, and make His face shine upon you, be gracious unto you, and grant unto you His shalom. Pray that He continue to walk with you both now and forever. And I pray that He watch between me and thee while we're absent one from another, until He bring us back to this appointed time and place once again. Take care. God bless. Peace and blessings. Shalom and Baruch. Until next time. Bye for now.